Don't scroll because the person you love just talked to someone about you. Listen to this before you scroll. Don't scroll. Please don't scroll. Listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, not later, not after, but right now in this exact moment, because you did not land here by accident, you did not pause randomly, and that sudden stillness you felt inside is not imagination, it's recognition, it's your spirit responding before your mind catches up. Listen to this. Because the person you love just talked to someone about you, and not in a casual way, not as a passing thought, but in a moment of emotional honesty where your name carried weight, meaning, and unfinished feeling, and even before you heard these words, your soul already sensed it, that random thought of them, that emotional wave that came out of nowhere, that quiet tightness in your chest. Those were not coincidences, those were energetic ripples from a conversation that mattered. Don't scroll, because when someone speaks about you from the heart, the universe listens, and when the universe listens, alignment begins to move. Listen to this, because for a long time you may have felt like everything was silent, like nothing was happening, like you were the only one carrying the memory, the feeling, the connection. But this message is for you because silence does not mean absence, it means pressure building, it means truth waiting for the right moment to come out, and that moment just arrived. Don't scroll, because the person you love didn't talk about you to anyone, they chose someone they trust, someone safe, someone who could hold the truth without judgment, and they said what they've been holding back, the confusion, the longing, the regret, the question of, what if, and the realization that you were never just a chapter, you were a turning point. Listen to this, because soul connections don't disappear, they go quiet until growth catches up. And the reason this conversation happened now is because awakening is happening on both sides. Don't scroll, because angel numbers didn't start appearing in your life for no reason. Seeing 11 when you think of them, 222 when you wonder if it was real, 444 when you feel protected even while missing someone. These were confirmations that truth was moving behind the scenes. Listen to this, because the universe prepares hearts before it changes circumstances, and your heart has been preparing too. You've been learning to choose peace over chasing, clarity over confusion, self-respect over settling, and the moment you stopped feeding the old dynamic, the energy shifted everywhere. Don't scroll, because when one soul heals, the other is forced to feel, and that's why they couldn't keep you buried in silence anymore. They needed to speak your name out loud to understand what they were feeling. Listen to this, because talking about you wasn't about gossip, it was about awakening, it was about facing emotions they tried to outrun, it was about admitting that something about you still lives in their heart. And once a soul admits truth, even to someone else, the universe begins rearranging what comes next. Don't scroll, because you may have felt emotional shifts lately, vivid dreams, sudden calm mixed with longing, random moments where you felt them strongly without explanation. Those were signs of energetic communication, soul speaking where words haven't arrived yet. Listen to this, because the connection you share is not surface level, it's spiritual, it's destiny driven. It's the kind that activates growth instead of comfort, and growth always comes before clarity. Don't scroll, because the reason things may not have moved forward before was fear, timing, and unfinished healing, not lack of love, and now those fears are being named, questioned, and softened. Listen to this, because the universe does not allow someone to talk about a soulmate casually. It happens when the heart is ready to face truth, and truth always creates a turning point. Don't scroll, because what happens next may not be loud. It may not be immediate, but it will be different, more honest, more grounded, more real, and you will feel it when thought turns into action. Listen to this, because your spiritual awakening changed the entire timeline, the moment you stopped begging for clarity and started trusting divine timing. The lesson shifted, and now honesty is being demanded on the other side. Don't scroll, because you were never forgotten, never replaced, never insignificant in their story. If anything, you were the one they had to talk about to understand themselves, the one they compared others to, the one that made them question their own emotional walls. Listen to this, because God does not allow hearts to open just to leave them exposed. He opens them to heal, to realign, to restore, and whatever unfolds from this conversation will not bring chaos into your life, it will bring clarity, whether that looks like communication, confession, or closure that finally feels complete. Don't scroll, because peace is the sign now, not anxiety, not obsession, not confusion. Peace mixed with emotion is alignment. Listen to this, because if your heart feels steady reading this, even emotional but calm, that's confirmation that whatever comes next is aligned with your growth. Don't scroll, because the universe does not bring back old energy to repeat old pain. It brings truth to close cycles or elevate them. Listen to this, because you are no longer the version of yourself that waits in fear, you are the version that trusts without attachment, hopes without desperation, and loves without losing yourself, and that version attracts different outcomes. Don't scroll, because I need you to hear this as if God Himself is speaking directly to you right now. I saw your patience, I saw your restraint, I saw how you chose peace when you could have chased answers, and I did not forget your heart. I was protecting it while preparing truth on the other side. Listen to this, because what is meant for you will never need to be forced, it will arrive with clarity, humility, and intention. Don't scroll, because this conversation was not the end, it was the beginning of honesty. And honesty always changes the direction of a story. Listen to this, because if this message resonates with you, if it feels like it's speaking directly to your situation, that's not coincidence, that's alignment. And stay present for what unfolds next, because the universe has already started moving, and when it reaches you, you will understand why everything had to happen exactly this way. Don't scroll. Stay right here and listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been trying to convince yourself that you're over it, that you've moved on, that whatever you felt is in the past, because the truth is deeper than what your mind has been telling you, and the universe knows it. Listen to this, because when the person you love talked to someone about you, it wasn't just a conversation, it was a release, it was pressure finally leaving their chest, it was emotions they could no longer carry alone spilling into the open, and that matters more than you realize. Don't scroll, because souls don't speak names out loud unless the connection still has weight, and your name still carries weight in their heart. Listen to this, because for a long time they tried to rationalize their feelings, to distract themselves, to convince themselves that silence meant resolution. But silence only works until awakening begins, and awakening has a way of pulling buried truth to the surface. Don't scroll, because the universe has been orchestrating this moment carefully, aligning courage with timing, reflection with honesty, growth with accountability, and this message is for you because you were part of that alignment even when you were doing nothing but choosing peace. Listen to this, because you may not realize how powerful your stillness has been, the moment you stopped chasing answers, stopped forcing conversations, stopped trying to be understood by someone who wasn't ready to listen. The energy shifted completely, and that shift forced them to sit with what they were avoiding. Don't scroll, because avoidance eventually turns into emotion, and emotion demands expression, which is why they spoke about you now, not earlier, not later, but now. Listen to this, because angel numbers have been showing up around you like breadcrumbs. 111 when thoughts of them cross your mind unexpectedly, 222 when you question whether the connection was real, 444 when you feel strangely protected even while missing someone. These were signs preparing you for this moment, reminders that something was happening behind the scenes even when you couldn't see it. Don't scroll, because the conversation they had wasn't just about missing you, it was about understanding themselves, understanding why they couldn't move on easily, why no one else felt the same, why your presence still lingered in their thoughts, and saying your name out loud made it real again. Listen to this, because speaking truth has consequences in the spiritual realm. Once truth is spoken, alignment responds, and things cannot remain the same. Don't scroll, because you may start noticing subtle changes now, shifts in your emotions, a sense of calm mixed with anticipation, dreams that feel more vivid, thoughts of them that feel different than before, not desperate, not painful, but reflective. And those are signs that the energy is transitioning from silence to movement. Listen to this, because movement doesn't always mean immediate action. Sometimes it means internal restructuring first, and internal restructuring is exactly what that conversation triggered. Don't scroll, because the person you love is now sitting with honesty instead of avoidance, and honesty can be uncomfortable, emotional, and humbling, but it is also the doorway to clarity. Listen to this, because clarity doesn't always lead to the outcome we expect, but it always leads to the outcome we need. And this message is for you because whatever unfolds next will align with your highest good, not your old pain. Don't scroll, because God does not allow soul-level connections to reopen wounds without purpose. He allows them to bring understanding, healing, and peace. Listen to this, because the reason this conversation happened after you grew stronger is not coincidence, it's protection. If it had happened earlier, it might have pulled you back into confusion, but now, you are grounded, aware, and emotionally steady enough to receive whatever truth comes without losing yourself. Don't scroll, because that's growth, and growth changes outcomes. Listen to this, because the universe responds differently to a healed heart than to a wounded one, and you are no longer operating from wounds, you are operating from wisdom. Don't scroll, because the person you love felt that shift. Even if they couldn't explain it, they felt that you were no longer energetically waiting, no longer chasing, no longer available for half connection, and that realization was unsettling. It forced reflection, and reflection led to conversation. Listen to this, because when someone realizes they may lose access to a soul that truly loved them, the heart cracks open, and that crack is where truth escapes. Don't scroll, because the conversation they had was not the final chapter. It was the moment the story stopped being frozen, and frozen stories always melt before they move. Listen to this, because melting looks like vulnerability, honesty, and emotional exposure, and that is exactly what happened. Don't scroll, because you are not responsible for what they do next. Your responsibility was to grow, to heal, to choose yourself, and you did that, and that's why this moment is unfolding now instead of earlier. Listen to this, because God's timing is protective, not cruel. And delays are often mercy in disguise. Don't scroll, because you might be tempted to overthink this, to wonder who they talked to, what exactly was said, and what it means for the future. But hear this clearly. You don't need every detail to trust alignment. What is meant for you will not require you to chase information, it will come with clarity. Listen to this, because clarity feels different than curiosity. It feels calm, grounded, and steady. Don't scroll, because if your heart feels calm reading this, even emotional but not anxious, that's your sign that you are ready for whatever comes next. Listen to this. Because readiness does not mean controlling outcomes, it means trusting yourself. No matter the outcome, don't scroll, because the universe is not bringing this up to reopen old cycles, it's bringing it up to either elevate the connection or close it properly, and both are blessings when they arrive with truth. Listen to this, because unfinished stories drain energy, but completed stories restore it, and completion does not always mean together, sometimes it means understood, respected, and released. Don't scroll, because God does not repeat lessons you've already learned, He brings resolution so you can move forward lighter. Listen to this, because you have already done the hardest part, which was loving deeply without certainty. Now you are being invited into certainty without losing love. Don't scroll, because the person you love speaking about you did not weaken you, it aligned you, it activated movement that was already overdue. Listen to this, because nothing meant for you will miss you. Nothing aligned with your soul will require suffering to prove its worth. And nothing real will arrive in confusion. Don't scroll, because if this message feels like it's speaking directly to your situation, that's not coincidence, that's divine confirmation. And stay present, stay grounded, and trust what unfolds next, because the universe has already started responding to truth spoken out loud. And when truth moves, destinies adjust. Don't scroll, stay right here and listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been feeling strangely calm but emotionally aware, like something is shifting even though nothing obvious has happened yet, because that feeling is not imagination, it's intuition waking up, and I need you to hear this clearly. When the person you love spoke about you, it didn't just change their inner world, it activated energy between you, and energy always moves before words do. Listen to this, because after truth is spoken out loud, the universe begins rearranging thoughts, emotions, and timelines, and that rearranging can feel subtle at first, like a quiet hum beneath the surface. Don't scroll, because you may start noticing that your thoughts about them feel different now, less heavy, less painful, more neutral or reflective, and that's because the emotional cord that once felt tight is loosening, not breaking, just loosening enough for clarity to enter. Listen to this, because clarity doesn't rush, it settles, and settling is what's happening now. Don't scroll, because the person you love is in a stage of internal reckoning, the stage that comes after confession and before action, where the heart asks hard questions and the ego no longer has all the answers, and this message is for you because that stage determines everything that comes next. Listen to this, because once someone admits feelings to another person, even indirectly, they can no longer pretend those feelings don't exist. The illusion breaks, and when illusion breaks, truth demands direction. Don't scroll, because you might wonder why they didn't talk to you instead, why they chose someone else, but hear this gently. Sometimes the heart needs a mirror before it can face the source, and that mirror conversation was preparation, not avoidance. Listen to this, because awakening often starts sideways, not straight on, and God allows that because He knows what each heart can handle at each stage. Don't scroll, because you were protected by timing. If they had come to you earlier, it might have reopened wounds or pulled you back into confusion, but now, after your growth, after your healing, after your boundaries, whatever comes next will not destabilize you. Listen to this, because the universe never brings truth back into your life until you're strong enough to receive it without losing yourself. Don't scroll, because you have changed, and that change is the quiet power in this moment. You no longer chase explanations, you no longer beg for clarity, you no longer equate silence with rejection. And that emotional independence shifted the entire dynamic. Listen to this, because when one soul steps into self-respect, the other is forced to face their own lack or growth, and that facing is uncomfortable, emotional, and honest. Don't scroll, because angel numbers may start appearing again or more intensely now. 555 signaling inevitable change, 777 confirming spiritual alignment, 888 hinting at emotional balance returning, 999 showing that a cycle is ready to close or transform, and these are not signs of chaos, they are signs of resolution approaching. Listen to this, because resolution doesn't always look like reunion. Sometimes it looks like peace so deep that you no longer need answers, and that kind of peace is freedom. Don't scroll, because the universe values freedom more than attachment, and freedom is what you've been cultivating. Listen to this, because you may feel moments where you suddenly don't need to check your phone, don't feel anxious about whether they'll reach out, don't feel pulled to replay old memories. And that's not because you stopped caring, it's because emotional closure is beginning internally, and internal closure always comes before external clarity. Don't scroll, because the person you love is feeling this shift too, whether consciously or not. They can sense that you are no longer energetically holding the door open out of longing, and that realization brings urgency, reflection, and humility. Listen to this, because when someone realizes they may lose access to a soul that truly saw them, something breaks open inside, and that breaking is not destruction, it's surrender. Don't scroll, because surrender is what allows truth to move from thought to action. Listen to this, because the next step for them will not be impulsive, it will be intentional, whatever form it takes, and intention is important, because intention determines whether a connection evolves or ends cleanly. Don't scroll, because clean endings are blessings too. They restore energy instead of draining it. Listen to this, because God does not leave his children stuck in emotional limbo forever. He brings understanding, closure, or alignment at the right time, and the right time is always when peace can be preserved. Don't scroll, because your peace matters more than any reunion, and the universe knows that now. Listen to this, because you are no longer operating from fear of loss, you are operating from trust in self. And trust in self changes how destiny responds. Don't scroll, because you may feel called to release expectations right now, to let go of imagining how this should unfold, and that release is not giving up, it's surrendering control, and surrender opens doors that force never could. Listen to this, because the universe moves fastest when you stop gripping outcomes. Don't scroll, because the conversation they had about you was not meant to pull you backward, it was meant to move the story forward in some form. And forward does not always mean together, it means resolved, elevated, or completed. With truth, listen to this, because unfinished emotional loops create anxiety, but resolved loops create peace, and peace is the outcome being prepared for you. Don't scroll, because you have already learned the lesson of loving deeply without guarantees, and that lesson does not repeat, it graduates. Listen to this, because graduation looks like emotional maturity, calm discernment, and the ability to accept whatever truth comes without collapsing. Don't scroll, because the universe does not test the same lesson twice. Once it's mastered, it brings a new scenario to apply the wisdom. Listen to this, because whatever comes next, message, silence, confession, or closure, it will not hurt the way the past did, because you are not the same person anymore. Don't scroll, because healing changed your nervous system, your boundaries, and your expectations. Listen to this, because healed love does not cling, it allows, and allowing is what you're doing now. Don't scroll, because I need you to hear this as if God Himself is speaking directly to you. I did not allow truth to surface now to confuse you, I allowed it to free you. I am not reopening wounds, I am closing chapters properly. Listen to this, because what is meant to stay will step forward with humility and effort, and what is not will fall away without chaos, and both outcomes serve you. Don't scroll, because you are not losing anything real in this process, you are gaining clarity, peace, and alignment. Listen to this, because clarity is kinder than false hope, and peace is greater than temporary comfort. Don't scroll, because if your heart feels steady reading this, that is confirmation that you are protected, grounded, and guided, and whatever unfolds next will meet you where you are now, not where you were, and that difference changes everything. Don't scroll. Stay right here and listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been feeling a strange mix of peace and anticipation, like something is settling and stirring at the same time, because that feeling is not confusion, it's alignment unfolding, and I need you to hear this gently but clearly. After the person you love spoke about you, the energy entered a deeper phase, a phase where intention begins to form, where emotions stop floating and start asking for direction. Listen to this, because speaking your name out loud did more than release emotion, it anchored awareness, and awareness changes behavior, even when no one sees it yet. Don't scroll, because the conversation they had forced them to confront a truth they could no longer escape. That what they felt for you wasn't circumstantial, it wasn't imagined, and it wasn't resolved just because time passed, and when the heart realizes that, it enters a quiet but powerful reckoning. Listen to this, because reckoning doesn't always look dramatic, sometimes it looks like silence filled with thought, hesitation filled with reflection, and distance filled with meaning. Don't scroll, because this is the stage where the universe tests intention, not emotion, asking one simple question. Are you willing to move differently now that you know the truth? Listen to this, because truth without action becomes regret, and regret always demands a response eventually. Don't scroll, because the reason you may feel calmer lately is not because you stopped caring, it's because your soul is no longer carrying the weight of uncertainty alone. The energy shifted when truth was spoken, and part of that weight lifted from you. Listen to this, because soul connections share energetic load, and when one side finally names the truth, the other side feels relief without knowing why. Don't scroll, because you might notice that memories feel less sharp, thoughts feel less intrusive, emotions feel softer, and that's not detachment, that's balance returning. Listen to this, because balance is what allows destiny to move without chaos. Don't scroll, because the person you love is now standing at a crossroads internally. One path leads toward courage, accountability, and honesty, the other leads toward fear, delay, and self-protection, and whichever path they choose will determine the outcome. But hear this clearly, either outcome serves your highest good now. Listen to this, because you are no longer meant to suffer for clarity, clarity is meant to meet you where you are. Steady, grounded, and self-aware. Don't scroll, because angel numbers may be showing up again as reassurance during this phase. 111 reminding you that new beginnings don't always look like returns, sometimes they look like release. 222 reminding you that balance is being restored. 444 reminding you that you are divinely protected regardless of the outcome. 555 signaling that change is unavoidable and necessary. Listen to this, because these signs are not asking you to wait anxiously, they are asking you to stay present. Don't scroll, because presence is power, and power is what keeps you from being pulled back into old emotional patterns. Listen to this, because the universe is not bringing this situation back into your awareness to test your patience, it's bringing it back to finalize a lesson that no longer needs repetition. Don't scroll, because repetition only happens when growth hasn't occurred. And growth has occurred here, deeply, quietly, undeniably. Listen to this, because you learned how to love without losing yourself, how to care without chasing, how to detach without becoming cold, and those lessons changed your vibration. Don't scroll, because your vibration now attracts truth instead of illusion, and truth cannot coexist with half connection for long. Listen to this, because the next movement in this story, whatever form it takes, will be clean, not messy, grounded, not chaotic, intentional, not impulsive, and that is a blessing. Don't scroll, because messy endings hurt longer than honest ones, and honest beginnings last longer than rushed ones. Listen to this, because the universe values emotional integrity, and integrity is what's being demanded now on both sides. Don't scroll, because you may feel moments of detachment followed by waves of emotion. And that doesn't mean you're going backward, it means you're processing from a healed place, where emotions move through instead of trapping you. Listen to this, because healed processing is gentle, it doesn't overwhelm, it informs. Don't scroll, because the person you love is also processing, but from a different place, one that involves accountability, reflection, and humility is necessary before truth can be acted upon. Listen to this, because pride delays connection, but humility allows it to evolve. Don't scroll, because if they choose to step forward, it will be with more honesty than before, more awareness than before, and more respect for your boundaries than before. And if they choose not to, the universe will close the loop without leaving loose ends. Listen to this, because you are no longer available for emotional limbo, and that boundary is sacred. Don't scroll, because God does not keep his children in confusion indefinitely. He brings clarity when it can be received without harm. Listen to this, because harm often comes from answers received too early, and you are now at a place where answers, whatever they are, will not destabilize you. Don't scroll, because that is emotional readiness, and emotional readiness is protection. Listen to this, because you may feel guided to do nothing right now, not reach out, not check, not analyze, and that guidance is intentional. Stillness is allowing the universe to work without interference. Don't scroll, because interference often delays resolution, but surrender accelerates it. Listen to this, because surrender does not mean giving up hope, it means trusting alignment more than fear. Don't scroll, because fear used to drive your thoughts, but now trust leads them, and trust changes outcomes. Listen to this, because you are no longer asking, will they choose me? You are asking, does this align with who I am now? And that question holds power. Don't scroll, because the answer to that question will come not through words alone, but through actions, timing, and energy. Listen to this, because aligned actions feel calm, respectful, and clear, and misaligned actions feel rushed, inconsistent, or heavy. Don't scroll, because your intuition will recognize the difference immediately now. Listen to this, because your intuition has been sharpened by everything you went through, and sharpened intuition is one of the greatest gifts of healing. Don't scroll, because the universe trusts you with truth now. It trusts that you won't abandon yourself to hold on to something familiar. Listen to this, because that trust between you and the divine matters. Don't scroll, because I need you to hear this as if God himself is speaking directly to you now. I did not allow this truth to surface to reopen old wounds, I allowed it to close a chapter properly. I am not asking you to wait in uncertainty, I am asking you to rest in peace. Listen to this, because peace is the signal that you are exactly where you need to be. Don't scroll, because what is meant to stay will come forward with effort, humility, and clarity, and what is not will dissolve without chaos, and both outcomes honor you. Listen to this, because you are not losing anything real in this season. You are gaining freedom, understanding, and alignment. Don't scroll, because if your heart feels steady reading this, that steadiness is confirmation, and whatever unfolds next will meet you in that steadiness, not disrupt it, and that is how you will know that this chapter, however it concludes, was guided. Don't scroll, stay with me and listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been feeling quieter inside, less reactive, more observant, like you're standing at the edge of something without needing to rush toward it, because that feeling is not emptiness, it's completion beginning to settle in, and I need you to hear this clearly. After truth is spoken, after awareness is activated, the universe enters a phase of alignment where things no longer move through emotion alone, they move through choice. Listen to this, because the person you love is no longer wrestling with whether the feelings were real. That question has already been answered. Now they are wrestling with what those feelings require of them, and that is a much heavier realization. Don't scroll, because feelings are easy to admit in private, but responsibility is what follows, and responsibility changes everything. Listen to this, because once someone acknowledges a soul connection, even indirectly, the universe begins asking for integrity, and integrity means actions must eventually match awareness. Don't scroll, because this is why you may feel less pulled lately, less anxious, less tied to outcome. The energetic responsibility has shifted away from you. And that is not loss, it is relief. Listen to this, because for a long time you carried both sides of the connection emotionally, questioning, hoping, holding space, but now the weight has moved where it belongs, and your nervous system can finally rest. Don't scroll, because rest is not disinterest, it is safety returning. Listen to this, because safety is what allows destiny to resolve without harm. Don't scroll, because the universe never asks healed hearts to relive old pain just to prove a point. It brings clarity in a way that preserves peace, and peace is what's being protected for you now. Listen to this, because the person you love is being confronted with a simple but uncomfortable truth. Awareness without action creates regret, and regret is something the soul does not tolerate quietly for long. Don't scroll, because that is why time feels important now, not rushed, but intentional. Listen to this, because intention is the dividing line between connections that elevate and connections that end, and whichever direction this takes, it will be guided by intention, not confusion. Don't scroll, because you may notice that you're no longer fantasizing about outcomes, no longer rehearsing conversations, no longer replaying memories with the same emotional charge, and that doesn't mean you stopped caring, it means your attachment has softened into wisdom. Listen to this, because wisdom allows love to exist without control. Don't scroll, because control is what kept things stuck before, and surrender is what allows movement now. Listen to this, because surrender does not mean giving up your value. It means trusting that your value does not depend on someone else's decision. Don't scroll, because this is the stage where the universe separates desire from alignment, and alignment always wins. Listen to this, because angel numbers may feel less urgent now, appearing softly instead of insistently. 222 reminding you that balance is holding. 444 reminding you that you are protected regardless of outcome. 666 Appearing not as fear but as a reminder to release overthinking and return to inner peace. These signs are not pushing you forward, they are grounding you. Where you are, don't scroll, because grounding is what keeps you from being pulled back into emotional loops. Listen to this, because the connection is no longer operating in the realm of longing, it is operating in the realm of truth, and truth does not beg. Truth stands. Don't scroll, because the universe is observing what will be done with the truth that was spoken, and observation always precedes consequence. Whether that consequence is growth, action, or release, listen to this, because you are not meant to intervene in this phase, you are meant to witness it from a place of self-respect. Don't scroll, because self-respect is the highest frequency you can hold right now, and it protects you from outcomes that are not aligned. Listen to this, because the version of you listening to this message is no longer willing to accept half-steps, half-truths, or half-effort, and that boundary is sacred. Don't scroll, because sacred boundaries invite sacred outcomes. Listen to this. Because the universe does not reward those who abandon themselves to keep connection, it rewards those who stay whole. Don't scroll, because staying whole is what you've learned to do, even when it hurt. Listen to this, because you may feel moments where you suddenly don't care what happens next, and that indifference is not apathy, it is freedom. Listen to this, because freedom is the point where destiny can finally choose without resistance. Don't scroll, because resistance keeps stories stuck, but freedom allows them to resolve. Listen to this, because the person you love is feeling the contrast now, the difference between your old energy and your current one, and that contrast is impossible to ignore. Don't scroll, because contrast forces choice. Listen to this, because choice is the final test of alignment, not emotion, not memory, not nostalgia, but choice. Don't scroll, because if they choose to step forward, it will be because they are ready to meet you as you are now, not as who you used to be. And if they don't, the universe will not let you linger in uncertainty, it will close the door gently but firmly. Listen to this, because closure does not always come through conversation, sometimes it comes through peace so complete that questions no longer matter. Don't scroll, because peace is the clearest sign that a lesson has been integrated. Listen to this, because you are no longer here to repeat lessons, you are here to live from wisdom. Don't scroll, because wisdom does not chase validation, it allows truth to reveal itself. Listen to this, because revealing always happens when you stop looking. Don't scroll, because this is the phase where your only responsibility is to remain honest with yourself, not hopeful beyond reason, not guarded beyond openness, but centered. Listen to this, because centered hearts do not get lost in outcomes. Don't scroll, because God does not bring His children to clarity just to abandon them there, He brings clarity to guide them forward. Listen to this, because whatever unfolds next will not require you to compromise your peace, and that is how you will know it is aligned. Don't scroll, because if nothing unfolds, and peace remains, that too is alignment. Listen to this, because alignment does not always bring people back, sometimes it brings you back to yourself fully. Don't scroll, because returning to yourself is never loss, it is arrival. Listen to this, because the universe has already honored your growth by shifting the energy away from confusion, and confusion will not return. Don't scroll, because what is meant to stay must meet you in clarity, effort, and respect, and what is not will fall away without drama. Listen to this, because drama is not the language of healed love. Don't scroll, because you are no longer meant to interpret signs through fear, but through calm awareness. Listen to this, because calm awareness is strength. Don't scroll, because I need you to hear this as if God himself is speaking directly to you now. I did not allow truth to surface so that you would suffer, I allowed it so that you could be free. I did not bring awareness to reopen wounds, I brought it to seal them properly. Listen to this, because you are safe now, emotionally and spiritually. Don't scroll, because what comes next will meet you where you stand, not pull you backward. Listen to this, because your heart is no longer asking for answers, it is open to alignment. And alignment always arrives quietly, gently, and without force. Don't scroll, because this stage is not about anticipation, it is about trust, and trust is what completes the lesson. Listen to this, because you have already done the work, and the universe is now responding, and whatever the response looks like, it will honor the person you have become, not the pain you outgrew, and that is the true ending of the old story and the beginning of something lighter, clearer, and whole. Don't scroll. Stay right here and listen to this, because this message is for you, and your heart needs this right now, especially if you've been feeling unusually steady, like the emotional storm that once lived inside you has finally quieted, because that quiet is not emptiness, it's resolution forming, and I need you to understand this clearly. The universe does not move loudly at the final stage, it moves gently, decisively, and with purpose. Listen to this, because after awareness, after reckoning, after surrender, comes alignment, and alignment is what is unfolding now. Don't scroll, because the person you love is no longer wrestling with feelings alone, they are wrestling with truth, and truth does not allow stagnation, it demands movement, one way or another. Listen to this, because once truth has been spoken, once awareness has settled in, the soul cannot return to pretending, and pretending was what kept everything frozen before. Don't scroll, because the energy has shifted from emotional questioning to spiritual accountability, and accountability is heavy, but it is also freeing. Listen to this, because accountability asks one powerful question. Will you rise to meet what you now understand, or will you step aside and let alignment complete itself without you? Don't scroll, because that question is not being asked of you anymore, you already answered it through your growth, your boundaries, your healing, your willingness to choose peace over attachment. Listen to this, because now the question lives on the other side, and that is why you feel less burdened, less responsible, less emotionally entangled. Don't scroll, because the universe has lifted the weight from your shoulders and placed it where it belongs. Listen to this, because for the first time in a long time, you are not carrying hope, fear, and expectation all at once, you are simply present, and presence is power. Don't scroll, because presence keeps you grounded while destiny rearranges itself around you. Listen to this, because destiny does not need your anxiety to move forward. It needs your trust, and trust is what you've been cultivating quietly. Don't scroll, because you may notice that even when thoughts of them arise, they don't hijack your mood anymore, they pass through gently, and that is not loss, that is mastery. Listen to this, because mastery means you can feel without being consumed, remember without reliving, care without clinging. Don't scroll, because this stage is where emotional maturity is tested, not by temptation, but by stillness. Listen to this, because stillness reveals what remains when fear is gone, and what remains in you is clarity. Don't scroll, because clarity does not demand answers, it recognizes alignment when it arrives. Listen to this, because whatever happens next, communication, distance, resolution, or reunion, it will not shock your system, it will confirm what you already feel deep down. Don't scroll, because confirmation always feels calm, not overwhelming. Listen to this, because the universe is not dramatic when it closes or elevates soul connections. It is precise, respectful, and intentional. Don't scroll, because the person you love is now feeling the consequence of truth in a way that cannot be rushed. Consequence does not mean punishment, it means outcome. Listen to this, because outcomes are shaped by readiness, not emotion. Don't scroll, because emotion sparked the journey, but readiness determines where it ends. Listen to this, because readiness looks like courage, humility, and consistency, and if those are present, the connection may evolve, and if they are not, the connection will conclude without lingering pain. Don't scroll, because both outcomes honor you now. Listen to this, because you are no longer here to prove love, you are here to receive alignment. Don't scroll, because alignment does not argue, explain, or chase, it simply arrives and fits. Listen to this, because if something fits, it brings relief, and relief is what you've been feeling, even if you couldn't name it. Don't scroll, because relief means your soul recognizes that it is no longer in danger of repeating the same cycle. Listen to this, because cycles only repeat when lessons are avoided, and you faced yours head-on. Don't scroll, because the universe respects courage, especially the quiet kind. Listen to this, because your courage was choosing yourself when it would have been easier to stay attached, choosing healing when it would have been easier to numb, choosing truth when it would have been easier to hold on to illusion. Don't scroll, because those choices rewrote the ending. Listen to this, because endings are not always about separation. Sometimes they are about transformation so deep that the story no longer resembles its beginning. Don't scroll, because transformation does not announce itself, it settles into your nervous system. Listen to this, because your nervous system feels calmer now, safer, less reactive, and that is not coincidence, that is healing integrating. Don't scroll, because integrated healing does not crave answers, it trusts outcomes. Listen to this, because trust is what allows the universe to finalize what it started. Don't scroll, because finalization does not always come with a conversation, sometimes it comes with a feeling of completion that cannot be shaken. Listen to this, because completion does not erase love, it redeems it. Don't scroll, because redeemed love teaches you something valuable without asking you to stay stuck in it. Listen to this, because you are not losing connection, you are gaining perspective. Don't scroll, because perspective frees you from emotional bondage. Listen to this, because freedom is the true gift of soul connections, not possession, not attachment, not permanence, but awakening. Don't scroll, because awakening always leads you back to yourself stronger, clearer, and more aligned. Listen to this, because you are standing in that alignment now, even if nothing external has changed yet. Don't scroll, because internal alignment always comes first, and external reality follows. Listen to this, because the universe trusts you with peace now, and peace is not given lightly. Don't scroll, because peace means you are ready for whatever truth arrives next, without resistance, without collapse, without self-betrayal. Listen to this, because self-betrayal is no longer an option for you. Don't scroll, because you have learned to honor your intuition, your boundaries, and your worth. Listen to this, because honoring yourself is what invites honorable outcomes. Don't scroll, because the next chapter of this story, however it unfolds, will not drain you, it will clarify you. Listen to this, because clarity feels like certainty without urgency. Don't scroll, because urgency belongs to fear, and fear no longer governs you. Listen to this, because fear once made you question your value, your place, your significance, but fear has lost its voice now. Don't scroll, because love rooted in fear cannot survive healing. Listen to this, because healing demands truth, And truth demands action or release. Don't scroll, because you are no longer attached to which one happens, you are attached to your peace. Listen to this, because that attachment is healthy. Don't scroll, because healthy attachment does not cling to people, it clings to self-respect. Listen to this, because self-respect is what will guide you through the final movement of this situation. Don't scroll, because movement may be subtle, it may be quiet, it may be unexpected, but it will be right. Listen to this, because right does not need to be loud to be powerful. Don't scroll, because power often feels gentle when it is aligned. Listen to this, because the universe does not rush endings or beginnings that matter, it lets them unfold with dignity. Don't scroll, because dignity is what protects your heart now. Listen to this, because you are no longer available for emotional chaos disguised as love. Don't scroll, because love aligned with your growth will not destabilize you. It will anchor you. Listen to this, because anchoring is what you've been learning, how to stay rooted no matter what passes through your life. Don't scroll, because rooted people are not shaken by outcomes, they are strengthened by them. Listen to this, because you are rooted now, emotionally and spiritually. Don't scroll, because I need you to hear this as if God Himself is speaking directly to you. I did not bring you this far to leave you uncertain, I did not awaken your heart to confuse you, I did not allow truth to surface to harm you, I allowed it to free you. Listen to this, because you are safe now, you are guided now, and whatever unfolds next will meet you in peace, not pain. Don't scroll, because peace is your sign that the lesson is complete, and completion is not an ending, it is a doorway, and you are standing right in front of it, ready.